everyone. So if you've seen my latest video, it's all about meal prepping and just little tips and tricks that I've learned along the way. But today I wanted to do something a little bit different and show you and tell you a little bit of the things that I always have in my pantry, and also just some like easy swaps and tips that I've learned. Just like if we rewind a little bit, my health journey started about 3 years ago. And if you would have told me that I'd be where I am now with how I eat, I would have looked at you and laughed. Like, I'm such a Southern girl. I was raised on fried chicken and all of those good comfort foods, and there's nothing wrong with them. They're good, but that's just, in my opinion, not something that should be an everyday diet staple. And so I've just made it a mission and continue to make this my mission of every day implementing small changes. And if we implement small changes, we can look up, like I have, 3 years down the road, and you're like, wow, I've made so many changes and it's just been so much fun. And I love it. And I love encouraging people to do the same thing, because I don't like the biggest concept in conception that just really grinds my gears and upsets me in the health and wellness industry is diets. Like, I just don't think anyone should follow and classify themselves as a plant-based or Whole30, or I don't eat dairy, or I don't eat gluten. Like, just think of it as a lifestyle change. And if you just mentally tell yourself, okay, I don't have to get rid of these things, I'm just choosing to because this is a new lifestyle for me, for how my body works, then I truly just think it makes the biggest difference in our life. Because when we get the word diet stuck in our head, then it's like, oh my gosh, I can't have this. I'm exiting so many things out of my life that I've been having for so many, like, I've lived off of. And then all of a sudden you're gonna wake up one day and say, okay, I can't have this, 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 and this. It's so hard. It almost like sends us in a full-on shock, and it feels like it's not approachable and easy to do. So I like to think of it more of a lifestyle change and just do slow, easy changes every single day, and it leads up to a huge thing. And you never feel like you're like, wow, I can't have the cake, or I can't have this, I can't have my favorite sweetener to go in my coffee. Because if you give your body grace and time, those things, you'll be surprised with me saying this, but you will stop craving it, and you won't crave the sugar. You won't run off of sugar. And at night, when you're after dinner, you're not going to want to turn to your ice cream. You're going to maybe want fruit, which is so good for you. So just giving your body grace and allowing you to go through that, that's just my mission and what I love to do. And I love sharing healthy recipes that are still comfort foods and taste really good. But so that's what led me to where I am today, and kind of what I want to talk about today. And a couple things that I always have in my pantry, no matter what, because you know those days that you just want to throw something together. Well, you got to have stuff in your pantry. So one thing I always have in my pantry, I'm going to start with a little bit of like spices. So I will put a picture right here, but everything but the bagel seasoning. It started at Trader Joe's, but if you don't have a Trader Joe's, then I've also seen it at Walmart, at Kroger. It can be pretty much found everywhere, but this spice is just, it's great on everything. I put it on my eggs in the morning. I put it on all of my vegetables. I put it on my chicken when I make chicken for lunch. It's just so easy and so versatile, and it goes with everything. So when in doubt, everything but the bagel seasoning makes everything so much better. Another thing I always have is garlic, minced garlic, because I think if you add garlic and onions to everything, it makes it so much more flavorful. So I will stir fry veggies and throw in garlic and a little bit of onions, and that's always so good. Another thing is I always have rice cakes. I'll put a picture here as well. But just a Quaker Oat brand is great, but just try to stay away from the rice cakes that have sugar and cinnamon and all of that kind of stuff on them, just because That's just an extra sugar that you don't necessarily need to add into your diet. Another thing, always, always, always is a staple of mine in my fridge. If you know me, you know that I live for my nut butter. I love nut butter, but there's a couple of things that I look for when I'm going to buy nut butter. One, you want it to, my rule is you want it to just be nuts. There's so many brands out there that love to tell you that it's sugar-free and this and that, but read your ingredients, read them, because for some reason in nut butters they love to add sugar, which is usually cane sugar, and they love to add oils, and you don't need it. Just a simple plain nut butter is great. And the reason I like to do this is because the rice cakes that I mentioned before, you have your plain nut butter, and then if you want to add something a little bit sweeter, just drizzle a little bit of honey and cinnamon on top, and it's amazing. And honey is natural sugar, so it's easier for your body to digest and break down, and the cinnamon is an anti-inflammatory, and it's so good for you. So it's just a win-win. Instead of having all of your sugar in your rice cake and in your peanut butter, you can add it that way. Another thing I always have is fresh fruit. As I said, my taste buds have changed over the past 3 years, and I crave for that sweetness, sugar, or not sugar, fruit. Sorry guys. So I always have fruit cut up and ready for me in the fridge, just because it's an easy grab. If I'm wanting some strawberries or watermelon during the summer, it's there for me and I don't even have to think about it. So when I meal prep on Sundays, that's just something that I always meal prep and cut up and make sure it's in a little Tupperware. Another thing I always like to have on hand is protein bars, but it's really, really hard to find a good protein bar at the store that you can eat that doesn't have a whole bunch of random things in it and a whole bunch of the sugar really jacked up or something. So the one that I've found that I like the most, that I will keep in my purse and in my pantry if I ever need anything, is a Lärabar. And they have different brands or different flavors. My favorite is the lemon bar, but it's just great because it's whole ingredients. That is like one of my key things. So if I were to tell you anything starting off, it's this. It's when you go to the grocery store and you read the labels, I want you to be able to read the ingredients. If you can't pronounce it or read it, you probably shouldn't get it. And that's just the general rule of thumb that I go by when I look at ingredients, because it's so easy to turn the box around and look at it and you're just like, there's 50 ingredients in this and I can't read the last like 30. And if that's the case, I will just put it back and keep walking. Another thing is I really like for ingredients to be like 10 or less. I know that one's a little bit more difficult, but it is a great rule of thumb, because if it's 10 ingredients or less, it typically means that they're whole foods and they don't have all the artificial and processed stuff in them, keeping them preserved and okay the way they are, because we don't need all those preservatives. But that's another tip I just wanted to kind of throw out there for you. But another thing I always keep in my pantry is sweet potatoes. I know that everyone kind of says stay away from carbs, this and that, but I'm not a firm believer in that. I think that we need carbs and we need the healthy fats, especially as women. So I always have sweet potatoes on hand, and I will usually meal prep them on Sundays because sweet potatoes are like my go-to. And I'll do them typically 3 different ways. I'll cut them in little bitty chunks, and then if you're looking at the sweet potato as a whole like this, I'll cut them like this so and make like little chips out of them. And sometimes I'll, instead of using the rice cake that I referred to earlier, I will put peanut butter on top of it and honey, and that's a great alternative for a little like quick bite if you're hungry in the afternoon and want something like that. Speaking of carbs, I want to throw another tip at you. I don't eat bread just because my body can't handle the yeast and the all of that. But a tip on bread. So white bread is something I say that you should try to stay away from, but I don't want you to cut out bread completely. So let's make a change. instead of going and buying the just like the blanched white bread or the wheat bread, there's a bread company called Dave's Killer Bread. You've probably seen it at the store, but I love it because it's made of nuts and it's got the fermented yeast, and so it's so much easier for your body to digest. And then if you want to go one step even better, if your grocery store has the option, sourdough. Sourdough is the best type of bread if you're going to eat it, because the way the yeast is fermented and it's so easy for your body to break down. That is, if I am going to eat a piece of bread, I will eat sourdough. So just want to throw that one for you, so that if you want to make an easy swap, like I said, that's just something to be kind of thinking about as you shop through the grocery store. Okay, since I'm on swaps, I'm gonna continue that one and add a couple more that I want to share with you. So another good swap that I will always have in my fridge is, instead of using soy sauce, I use coconut aminos or liquid aminos. And I can put a picture right here of like what to look for in the store, but they're just really, really good alternatives. They taste exactly the same. I actually like them a little bit better just because the soy sauce is a little bit bitter and really, really not sugary, salty, whereas the coconut and liquid aminos just seem smoother is the best way to describe it. But they're just not as high in sodium and they're better for you. So that's always a great alternative. They're great on veggies. So if you're ever in a time crunch and you want to throw some veggies in a pan, and everything but the bagel seasoning and soy sauce or coconut aminos makes a great stir fry, and it cooks in like 10 minutes. So super easy. Another thing is a good swap of mine that I've kind of slowly gone to is switching out my butter. So I was raised on, I can't believe it's not butter. I told you I'm a Southern girl. I was raised fried chicken, biscuits in the morning eating. I can't believe it's not butter out of the jar. But I have switched that to ghee butter, and you can find it almost all the grocery stores nowadays, and it's usually with like the coconut oil and all of the vegetable and oils and stuff. So it's just a clarified butter, so it's really good for you, and I love the taste because it has a little bit of a stronger taste. But that might be something that you try out and you're like, I might need to let my taste buds kind of change a little bit, if you know what I mean, because I loved it from the get-go, but that was also after my journey of eating healthier foods for about a year and a half when I discovered ghee butter. The last thing I want to share with y'all is switching out your oils. So when I cook, I try to stay away from the vegetable oil, the palm oil, and for sure canola oil. If anything ever has canola oil in it, I just kind of put it back because it's completely a GMO. It's not good for you. It's not real. But what I've swapped that out with is avocado oil is my favorite to cook with if you're cooking over 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And also coconut oil. I know there's a lot of controversy on that one, but I love coconut oil. And also, I don't know if everyone has this, but if you have a good olive oil store in your town or city, they usually have great olive oil options. So my two favorite go-tos are always olive oil and avocado oil to cook with. Those are my two favorites, and they're staples in my fridge always, or pantry. But yeah, this video was a little bit more lengthy than I thought it was going to be. I guess I could talk about this forever. So if you ever have any other topics that you want me to discuss or questions that you want me to go into more depth, feel free to message me. I'd love to do more videos like this. This is fun. I love doing this kind of stuff. I don't realize how much information I guess I have in my brain because I just sat down and started talking. But feel free to message me, and if you ever have any questions about anything, I'm an open book. I love helping people and I love sharing my knowledge, so feel free to always message me. But hope this video benefits you and you got a little bit out of it and it wasn't too overwhelming. But hope you have a good day.